Federal agents are now joining that investigation into a series of shootings in Georgia that killed 8 people.
Authorities say 6 of those victims appear to be women of Asian descent. The suspect is in custody, and while authorities say they're still investigating whether yesterday's killings were racially motivated, they're part of a recent trend of violence in the U.S. involving Asian American victims. Zhang puts the fears of one local doctor in focus.
These are assaults on Asian Americans within the past year that were caught on camera. According to one advocacy group, there have been more than 3,000 hate-related incidents in the U.S. against Asian Americans since the pandemic began.
And one other item I wanted to bring up.
Dr. Crystal Zheng opened up about her experience with racism here in New Orleans. During a recent virtual event by Tulane School of Medicine, the infectious disease doctor detailed personal insults thrown at her during the pandemic.
I did want to bring to attention my own personal experience with that, because as an Asian American doctor, I did experience racism in the community. People called me, yelled coronavirus at me in the street.
Shortly after the initial wave of COVID last year, Dr. Zhang published this opinion in The Lens. She wrote in part, quote, "No matter my cultural identity or professional achievements, I'm always shadowed by jokes about my eyes and questions like, but where are you from?" She also wrote about an incident last April that prompted Tulane police to issue a campus-wide alert.
Someone came up to 2 Tulane employees with a gun and said, "Are you Chinese or Japanese? If you're Chinese or Japanese, I'm going to kill you." So that really impacted me.
No one was arrested, and it made Dr. Zheng fearful about going to work. In a statement today, she said the politics surrounding the pandemic has emboldened some people to act on racist sentiments.
For many Asian Americans, we were taught at a young age to put our heads down, work, and don't rock the boat. That kind of mentality could often lead to encounters with racism and hate to go underreported. But the calls for change, especially on social media, are getting louder.
From world-famous musicians to local Asian Americans, there are pleas for solidarity. But in a polarized country, will those pleas truly be heard? Tan Trung, Eyewitness News.
Earlier today, Vice President Kamala Harris addressed the deadly shootings in Georgia, saying the killing has, quote, frightened, shocked, and outraged all people. She added then that the nation grieves for the victims.